here.
How about that? You're
Is
just,
he out front? Can you,
I think they're all
look
caps.
at the door, say the time and all that?
okay,
So she's just gonna point to you and it's not gonna talk.
okay.
It's just
No, actually, you should put that I after.
This is the Beautification Committee meeting on January 5th at 5:37 p.m. So let's go ahead and get started with roll call. Okay, Denise? Here. Don? Massey is not excused, right? Or what do I, is he absent?
We haven't heard from him.
Okay.
He might not live in Crestwood anymore.
Potentially, yeah. I thought we should maybe look into that a little bit further. Ellen?
Here.
Joyce?
Here.
Catherine Brandt?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Josie Green is excused. I'm here. Elaine?
Here.
Mary Statter is absent but has someone in her place.
Alton Sharman here.
Jim?
Here.
And Brian is not here. He's excused. Okay. So should we do the approval of minutes before? Yeah? Okay. Did anybody have anything that they thought needed to be, any comments or anything that needed to be changed on the minutes, or was it good?
I had no issue.
Okay. I didn't either. Any motion to approve them?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I assume we don't have any public comment? Okay. Should we do the speaker first and then move on to the alderman report so that we can not use up all of your valuable time? Yeah, I think that would probably be smart. So this is Julie Adams Grimm.
Okay, so we're just gonna move.
Okay, should I say this
Well,
now?
you can.
Okay, you can move as I say this if you would like. So this is Julie Adams Grimm. She's a graduate of Mizzou. She is a stay-at-home mom of 3 of awesome ages too, 19, 16, and 13. She completed a master gardening certification at the Missouri Botanical Garden in 2012. She enjoys traveling, antiquing, exercise, decorating, and languages. She's bilingual in Swedish, an exchange student for a year, that's impressive, and is currently studying French. And she started the Grow Glendale Glorious with 3 friends in August of 2014. So please help me in welcoming Julie Adams Grimm.
Yay!
I'm a gardener and a mom, not a IT person, so thanks to them. So I know Denise said she was a master gardener. So after I got my master gardening certification, as a master gardener, you have to volunteer 40 hours a year, plus 10 hours of continuing ed each year. And so I did that at different locations for a few years, but then I decided, I have some friends and I who live in Glendale, we were really jealous of Kirkwood and Webster, and they have more businesses than Glendale, but we were really jealous of the pots and the containers and the gardens that are around. And so one of my friends who is not a master gardener, but just because you're not a master gardener doesn't mean you're not an avid gardener. She's an amazing gardener. We decided, you know what, we can do this. Let's get some people together. We can start this. And so we came up with a name. We went to a source. We tried to keep it all local within the town. A lady who's a graphic artist. We came up with the name. She did the logo for us. We started out with no money. We approached the city with our idea. There'll be room for questions afterwards because I might not touch on everything that you guys want to know, but I'll just kind of tell you and then we can go from there. You can ask me questions. But anyway, so we approached the city of Glendale, the city administrator, and we sat down with him and we told him our ideas. You know, we're starting from scratch. We have no money, but this is what we want to do. We want to see more beautification presence in Glendale. Well, as you know, Glendale's really small. Glendale's only 1 square mile, so that's a huge benefit to us. But, you know, we had nothing. There were no containers, and the city hall didn't look very nice. Haneke's is our local grocer, and I've always dreamed, I've lived in Glendale 20 years, of having window boxes across the grocery store with window boxes like a little French cafe. And anyway, that's a little bit separate because that's privately owned. So anyway, we approached the city, had a meeting with the city administrator. We had our plans down. You know, this is what we'd like to do. We'd like to see more containers. We'd like to landscape City Hall. We're going to approach Haneke's, which is a grocery store, separately. But we can do this. Glendale's small. We'll do everything. What can you do to help us? Well, of course, the city people thought we were fruit. They didn't really know us personally. They know we're residents of city. But you know, I mean, you have to prove yourself, basically. But they gave us the chance. The first year, out of the Public Works Department budget, they gave us $1,600, and they donated 35 24-inch. It's a terracotta, like plastic-looking container that we use, which actually the city had in store. Weren't using them, but previously a Eagle Scout, that was his project. He had purchased the 35 containers, and people remembered it the one summer that he did it because they lined Sappington Road through Glendale. But the key with anything planting, as you all know, is water. Water, water, water. And so he planted all these pots, part of his project, bought the containers, which, you know, wholesale, they cost $125 each, so he had a significant investment, but then they died. There was no money, he didn't maintain them, he couldn't, I mean, that's huge, you know. So that was the city sphere when we went to present this to them, is who's gonna water it, who's gonna take care of it. I'm like, you know what, we got it covered. We'll take care of it, we'll get volunteers. Well, how are you gonna raise money? We're gonna go door to door. I mean, so what we ended up doing, because the city, they wanted to partner with us, but they didn't want us to be a part of the city structure, I guess, business structure. So what we decided to do is set up a nonprofit. And you can set up a 501c3. It's pretty simple, actually. I fortunately do, my husband is an attorney, so that was helpful. So he did set up a 501c3 for us, but really, as you know, all you have to do is get articles of incorporation through the state, which wasn't very much, I think it was like $25, and then he actually did the work to get the 501c3 set up, and I think the cost of that was around $700 or $800 just for the filing. Of course, he donated his time to the organization to do that, so that was huge. But there's got to be lots of lawyers in Crestwood to help, right? So anyway, that's kind of what we did. I have lots of pictures. I'll get to it. Okay. Let me switch.
Wait. Oh, yeah, this one.
Okay. I can garden. This is my family. I just put it in before because I gave a presentation before. My husband is a lawyer. He actually does bond law, so he works a lot with cities and counties. He underwrites bonds and bond issues, so somebody might know him. Mark Grimm is his name. Anyway, those are my two kids. My oldest is at Auburn University. She's a sophomore, and my other two are at Westminster Christian Academy. This is my certification as a master gardener. Through the botanical gardens, which I said before. So these are the three friends that I approached. They all live in Glendale, and in order to set up a 501c3, you have to have a board that consists of at least three, but we went ahead and did 4. So president, vice president, treasurer. She is not a gardener, but she used to work in the stock market, so she's good with money, so it's perfect. She's a treasurer and secretary. And she did a lot of the organization as far as the watering scheduling that we did once we had all the projects. I'll get to that in a little bit. So once we met with the city, we set up the 501c3. You're like, okay, how'd you get money? Well, what we did the first year is really word of mouth, and then we also put together a flyer that it was a simple flyer with our mission statement, which our mission statement is a nonprofit community volunteer organization to beautify Glendale with gardens, containers, landscapes, and environmental education. Because we do have an elementary school in Glendale, which is part of the Kirkwood School District, and we did bring them in the first year and did some work at the school. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. I'm going to try to make this fast. Anyway, Bill Rupert. I don't know if anybody knows Bill Rupert, but you need to be in contact with Bill Rupert, and he would love to come talk to your beautification committee. He went to Mizzou, is a horticulturist. He develops plants with the National Plant Association, but he is a huge cheerleader for any type of city volunteer beautification organization. I don't know if you're familiar with Gateway Greening. He is on the board at Gateway Greening. He is amazing, and he's just someone who will help you, and he has been a huge mentor to me. Well, I approached Bill, and when we were starting this, and he came over, and I just asked tons of questions. How do we do this, and then also, I don't know if you all are familiar with Youth City in Bloom. That's a really amazing organization. They're a 501c3 as well, but I did go meet with the two ladies who started that and talk to them for like 4 hours, and I just asked them tons of questions. You guys might be farther along than that, but anyway, so Bill, because he does have connections throughout the whole city with horticultural things, you know when they're redoing Keener Plaza downtown because of all that beautification for the arch? Well, they had a couple containers down there that they were having to remove from Keener Plaza, and they donated 2 of those to the city of Glendale, which this is one of them. We were so excited. So, I mean, he has just been amazing. You know, we were able to get 2 because maybe someday if we tear down and redo the city hall, you know, of course you want 2 as kind of your focal point. So that was super exciting for us that we had 2 of those donated. But I definitely would have him come talk to you. I mean, he's just a wonderful person who is extremely knowledgeable, loves landscaping, and he loves city beautification. Have you all heard of America in Bloom? Yeah, he's trying to get us to do that, but it's expensive.
It is expensive. We've looked at it.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, it's $1,000 just to be a part of it, to have 2 judges come tell you what to do. I'm like, well, I kind of know what I want to do. Maybe someday we'll do it. So anyway, what we did the first year, we did, by going door to door with our form, we put in flyers in every door. We did not mail them because we try and keep the bottom line. I mean, we are thin. We had, actually, our first year, we raised over $10,000 on our own. 92% of what we raised went back into the community as far as plants and soil and containers. Only 8% was administrative costs because we pretty much, everybody's volunteer, you know. But anyway, the first, and another thing, as a 501c3, a huge benefit to that is you can buy plants wholesale. And that's huge because, you know, the margin for plant cost, it's pretty slim anyway, but if you can buy in mass wholesale, that's just that much more that you can save. Anyway, and the city, I don't know how Crestwood, how you guys do handle your money, but they're a 501c3, I'm pretty sure, Glendale is, but they wanted us to be separate. They didn't want us to be a part of that. So anyway, that's how we work. We work as separately from the city. So the first year we did City Hall. This was kind of the beginning. We did 14 hanging baskets. We had 2 of these big cement containers brought in and donated, like I said. And then these are the containers that were left over from the Eagle Scout project. And we worked with St. Louis Composting, and they made a special soil mixture for us, which had fertilizer, soil, like a soil moisture product in it, so helps during the August month when everything's frying, you know, it keeps the moisture more in the pots. And then, you know, some nutrients as well. So it was a great soil mixture, and they worked with us and dumped it. And we did all the work at the Public Works Department because there was where we could lay it out. We bought the majority of our plants at Ritter Wholesale Nurseries, WeTop. And then, I don't know, you might be familiar with the Master Gardener Greenhouse over at South County Tech. They were amazing and worked with me a lot, and they sell their plants even below wholesale. So, they used to be open to the public, but right now, they are only working with communities like this. So, for plant purposes, if you guys want to put in orders, they're taking orders this month for communities. And if your organization contacts them, I'm sure they would be happy to grow for you some of the things that you might want. But anyway, it's just another reason to keep the cost down so we can do more. There are 12 entrances to Glendale, and we have signs like this. We picked 10 of the 12 entrances and had containers at each entrance. What we found out through the first year, the key is water, but also finding someone who lives close to kind of take over the watering. That really helps. What we did, though, as far as all of our locations, is the secretary of Roberta Borges, she set up on Sign Up Genius different signups for each location. And then people could go into the link and sign up when they wanted. It was very efficient. It's free. It was easy. It sends out a reminder the week before, and then we would also remind them. So, it worked really well. And we actually had, people want their community to be pretty. There's your people who aren't going to donate and don't want to help. They sure like driving by looking at it. But there's more people, I think, that really want to help and take pride in their community being pretty, and it's just, amazing. This year, we've already raised over $12,000 again. However, the city did increase what they gave to us. The first year, they gave us $1,600. This year, they upped it to $3,200.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take it. So anyway, that's a couple of the locations. Here's a before and after. This is Haneke's. Like I said, this is a little bit separate because it is a private business. But what I did is I approached the owner of Haneke's, Susie, and I said, hey, Susie, look, we're starting this 501c3 nonprofit. If you buy the containers, we'll buy the plants, we'll plant them, we'll maintain them, we'll take care of it. And we'll do that every year. All you need to do is buy the window boxes. She wrote me a check for $1,400 right then and there and said, it's yours. So, pretty good deal for a business, you know what I mean? So this was what it was before. We added all the window boxes, and then we added like 7 different big containers around with larger plants, just because it made it really pretty. At the school, we did want to bring the kids into the program a little bit. There's a couple of classrooms that looked out onto a cement wall, and so we did a couple of projects with the kids. We worked with the teachers, and this is a pallet, those wood pallets, and we bought the black felt and staple gun, and then we worked with the kids. They helped us staple gun the felt on, and then we actually did plant the pallets because it took a lot of soil from the top, and it was pretty messy, and with 30 kids, so it's not going to work. But anyway, we did a couple of these pallets outside of their classroom. And it was just neat because the kids really do take pride in stuff that they work on. And you want to teach kids about gardening and flowers and the positive benefits of them. And then there's also this is the parking lot islands at the school, which used to be just wood chips, and they look terrible. And this is a major intersection at Kirkham and Sackington, and it drove me crazy. And I'm kind of the engine. I have the ideas, and then everybody else just whatever. But this is Rudbeckia fulgida, which is a native black-eyed Susan, and it is tough. I'm sure a lot of you know it. It's amazing. But anyway, we ordered this through the Master Gardener Greenhouse, so she got us a ton of plugs, and great price. So we planted. We did not amend the soil. We did nothing. We came, we moved the wood chips, and we planted because we just, it took us 15 volunteers to do. There's an island here, this island, and then there's another one on this side. And people were like, Julie, there's no way these are not going to live. You could literally form a clay sculpture out of the soil. It was just pure, nasty clay. And I was even like, oh my gosh, knock on wood, I hope this works. But it did, and they look beautiful. efforts, make a difference. And like I said, this is a major intersection. So this was these 3 islands were our only perennial beds that we did our first year, because we focused a lot on really making an impact around the city. Containers everywhere. Another program that we started was we got 3 different signs made just to kind of get the community involved. And it's amazing how happy someone would be when you knock on their door and tell them that they got Garden of the Month. Oh my gosh, I'd be like doing somersaults, and I was their best friend, and it was so cute. So we did Garden of the Month, which was the garden. We also had Yard of the Month, which was garden and lawn. They both looked great. And then we also had Lawn of the Month. So each month we changed those throughout the city. And it was just fun. It was a great way to get people on board who didn't know about Grow Glendale Gorgeous. And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. We'll donate to that. People that had no clue, but we put a sign in their yard. Now they know, they want to support it, they want to be a part of it. So it was really positive in a lot of different ways, just doing something as simple as having 3 signs made. And these, we bought out a sign place right over on Manchester, and they were like, I think we paid $75 for each one, but they held up and we'll be able to use them again next year. So it was worth the cost. This was another on private property, and it's on Sappington, and it was this stone planter up against this, it was like a 4-plex, but it drove me crazy. I'm crazy. I'm kind of anal and I love flowers and I look pretty. And I kept driving by, and so I got the owner's name. He leases these 4 different buildings, and I'm like, you have this beautiful planter. Do you care if we just take it over? We'll plant it, we'll take care of it, we'll maintain it. He's like, go ahead. So that was one that we did. Another thing that our organization did this last year, actually we just bought 4 more, Algonquin Terrace is right at Berry and Kirkham, and it's a subdivision, and they have these entrance gates on each side, so there's a road, and then there's another one on the other side of the entrance of the street. But they didn't have any pots. They just had these flat things like this. I'm like, oh, pots would be really pretty there. They make a big difference. And so we talked to some of the neighbors, and they all got together, and the really great thing is I'm like, if you guys buy the containers, we can buy the plants, we can have the volunteers to maintain it, we can water. So it's like a partnership, and so they actually raised enough money to buy 6 containers, because they have 3 entrances with 2 at each entrance. So they purchased 6 pots, and then, we buy the flowers and maintain them. But we do have an amazing volunteer who lives in this neighborhood who totally takes pride in it, and we work together. She's like, you buy the plants, you buy everything for me, I'm happy to water it. So it just is a win-win, And we just ended up buying 4 more of these pots for 2 other neighborhood entrances. So it's kind of catches on, and people get the fever and they see it and they want it. But I have a great source for these, if you all are ever interested. It's St. Louis Ornamental, and I think they're over in Afton. And these are 24-inch cement containers, and we get them for $60. That's pretty good.
That's really good.
That's really good. That thing's gonna last forever. And all you have to do is seal them with some sealer, and then you're good to go. And they are beautiful, and they deliver them, and they're heavy. And so anyway, that was one of the things we did. This is at City Hall, some of the beds that we planted. There were some existing perennials we did not remove, but we just added annuals throughout, lots of tropicals. We had it was just a really great thing, as you all know. You meet so many people that you wouldn't know, and it brings the community together, and it was fun. These are the businesses across from downtown City Hall, and we did the same thing. We approached them and said, hey, if you guys provide the containers, we'll plant them, we'll water them, we'll buy the plants, and we'll take care of them. Pretty good deal for them. So, this was part of it, because I don't know if any of you drove through Glendale during the summer, but it was pretty pretty when we stopped at that sign. So it was exciting. And this is a before at City Hall. They did nothing. The city hall did nothing before. They had these beds, there was nothing. And then, it was this. It just is proof what plants do, as you all know. And this was how big these containers got by the end of the summer. Like I said, we had the volunteers sign up. We asked people to sign up for 1 week on the Sign Up Genius, different locations. We had 4 different locations they could sign up for. We had the school islands, City Hall, Haneke's, and then we did divide out the 12 different entrance locations. So like, I think there was 2, if you had this location, you had 3 signs, 3 entrance signs, and another one was 3. But we asked people to water 3 days a week. We provided the jugs, gallon jugs that you drink water in, or milk jugs, you just save them and they can put them in the back of their car and do it. So this is also beds at City Hall, kind of towards the end of the, but this was before, when we planted it, and this was in August. Isn't that awesome? I love it. So, it really does make a huge impact. And this is the entrance to our City Hall right by here, so it was definitely a huge conversation. Saying people love it. And then we did fall. We did some. We were done watering. No more watering by September. And so this is no water required. It's like corn hucks and millet, and then golden Alexander that we just cut, and then we just let it dry, and it was really pretty and fuzzy and brown when it dried. So that was like basically, I don't know, it cost us maybe $40 to do all that, and it lasted 2 months. So that was kind of cool.
That other little sign you had down there, that was,
What did I do?
you hit the, oh, is there more?
I thought there was one more.
Oh, looks like 29, so that's fine.
I guess that's it. So anyway, and then we did do, I don't have Christmas on there, but we did do Christmas decor throughout the city, and we just went around, and it was really inexpensive. We just printed people's evergreen trees and juniper trees and holly trees, and used river birch logs, and just filled the pots, and they look gorgeous and beautiful, and so anyway, and there's a lot more. We have a board meeting once a month that the 4 of us meet and kind of plan. This year we did the same thing as far as fundraising. We had a big push in August because that's when your plants look really big and really good. And we did the same thing again. We put together a flyer and we brought in volunteers on a Saturday morning, and we handed out flyers, had a map of the city, and just people hand delivered them to every resident in Glendale. And we raised almost $10,000 because people care, they want it. So, but an interesting tidbit of information is, of the 2,400 homes in Glendale, it's less than 150 homes that have donated for that. Less than 150, which is crazy. And my whole point is, if every household would give $5 or $10 a year, you know what you could do?
This
Huge.
one's
And
even bigger.
yeah, this one's bigger.
Yeah.
And so it's not like you need a huge amount of money, you just need a little bit from everybody, but it's hard to get people on board. But anyway, we felt we had a wonderful first year. We did earn a community service award from the Master Gardeners Association this year. So we earned an award, a $500 award, so that was nice. So it's been fun, and it's just done because we like to garden and we want to make our city pretty, but it's a win-win for the city, I think,
When you do the flyer, are you having them like mail checks, or they donate online, or how are they actually getting the money to you? 'Cause it doesn't go through the city.
No, it comes
Right.
directly to our treasurer, so they mail
Okay.
it to her, made out to Berlinda Borges.
Okay.
And, they can either drop, her home address is on there and her name, but the checks are all made out to Berlinda Borges, and
Okay.
they drop it or mail it to her house.
Okay.
And then we do have a checking account set up we had to wait till we got our 501c3 certification. They required all that to do that. But we're totally separate from the city, but they support us and, partner with us. And one of the secretaries at City Hall, she does kind of do some IT work for us, because as you know, I'm kind of not inclined. But there's a, people can log in to the city's website and go to our logo and kind of, see what's going on, when the volunteer dates are. We did try and have like 3 socials a year to make it fun too, kind of like garden clubby. But you know what? People don't turn up. People want to work. They want to be there. They want to do something. I don't know. We've had, the first meetings when I presented the whole idea, of course, there was like 40 or 50 people that showed up. But then we just had a social in November, just kind of a fun little social to celebrate the year, and we had 20. But every one of our volunteer work days, when we're actually going to be planting or whatever, we have at least 40 people show up. And on our volunteer email, I have a mass email where I can send out bursts, and I have over 200 residents on that. That's our core list of, they've either donated or they volunteered or somehow they've been involved. So that's pretty good. I mean, you can get a lot done if you have a few people and you're organized. So, but does anybody have any questions? I mean, I don't know if I think I cover everything.
Do you guys have any T-shirts that you wear or anything?
We don't. We don't. Because we felt like, we thought about selling them as a fundraiser, but I'm like, do people want one more T-shirt? And then we have to buy them, and that's more money that we have to use for a T-shirt, and I'd rather put it towards plants or pots. So I'm real like plants, pots.
You could do something like Cafe Press and put the design out there, and people could actually buy one if they wanted to.
Yeah, they could.
Just to give you more exposure instead of just being...
Right, but Glendale's so little. I mean, how many
Yeah.
people does Crestwood have? 12,000? Yeah. Lot bigger. Twice as big plus.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we did do is we did a luncheon in August. We're going to do that once a year, and we had it at Algonquin Country Club because some of us are members there, and we were able to ask them if we could host a luncheon there. And so we just had a salad and iced tea and a nice dessert, but then we added in a little, maybe like $10. So instead of being a $20 luncheon, it was a $30 luncheon, but $10 went to GGG. And we did make $600, and people had fun, and we had like 50 attendees. And it was we gave a few door prizes, and we just kind of talked about our year. And so I think people like that, but, it's been, we feel like it's been a great thing. But moving forward, our biggest issue is water and people taking responsibility to help water. So what we're doing moving forward is hoping that, approaching people saying some of the business, we have a few businesses on Manchester that are part of Glendale, like a Jiffy Lube and a few restaurants, and we've approached them and said, hey, if you donate $200 one time to buy the containers, you're good to go, because every year we're going to buy, as long as we can and have the funds, we'll buy the soil, we'll provide the manpower, we'll plant the plants, we'll do it all. That's how we have to work going forward, because people have to take ownership. Because, it's a lot of work and volunteers get burnt out. And, you don't want to get in too deep where you can't even maintain it. And when you don't want to die. I don't, anyway. So, anyway. But, any questions? Did I help?
Yeah.
I know you guys got a great committee already. You've done a lot.
But tell me the name of it. You call it the Master Gardener's Greenhouse at South County Tech, is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
I have the contact.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah,
check that out.
check them out. But, it needs to be done like within the next week, because they've just sent me in the last 2 days, they need to have my plant list, because they're starting to buy the seeds. Because, it takes
They're
months.
starting stuff from seeds.
They start it from
Yeah.
seed.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's great, and they do natives, they do perennials, they do annuals, they do tropical. I don't know how many more tropicals they're gonna do, but perennials and natives and annuals for sure. And they're great, they're really nice, and they're great plants. So that's a huge And Ritter, I don't know if you've used Ritter Greenhouse at all out in, it's off the St. Charles Rock Road. It's a wholesale nursery, and they deliver if you spend over $500, which is sweet. And their plants are wonderful. So, anyway. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
This was very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, let's.
Thank
Now you've got the PowerPoint and you've got the keynote thing, let's go through those.
Yeah. Or they can sign up for
Right.
it. The face and pay is
Oh, yeah, go and see Mike, okay? Yeah. But I haven't been posting a lot because.
It is really nice.
Oh, okay.
I want to roll off.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, good luck. See you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's maybe try to go through some of the next stuff kind of quick so that we can, get to as much as possible on this list. So Justin, do you have an aldermanic report for us?
I do. I guess you guys did not have a December meeting, correct?
Correct.
All right, so you'll need November and December, or just December?
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
How much time do you guys want?
Right, so we didn't get a whole lot from them.
Okay. All right. Did you meet before the 10th or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you guys get a hefty update then. All right, so I'll run through this relatively quickly. If there's anything you have questions about, feel free to ask me at the end and I'll run back through this. Or if there's anything in general you have updates or questions on, feel free to ask me. I'm always open to answering questions. We did reach an agreement with the firefighter union in regards to signing a contract. A 4-year contract, which is great news. Typically, they've been 3 years in the past, so it was a major effort of the city. We finally got that addressed. Let's see here. There's been so much, and I took a mental break over December, so you give me one moment. We recapped the Ward 2 Town Hall that Mary and I presented in November, which we met with the citizens, not just the Ward 2, but whoever was open to come. It was great to see people there. I know Ellen was there, I know Catherine was there. That was nice. We tried to answer as many questions as possible, and we encouraged other individuals to, other alderman representatives to do that as well. We had we addressed the budget, which was the next big item of the 11/24 meeting, which was a pretty lengthy process. The city did make some significant cuts into the budget that the alderman did, and we ended up passing the budget, finalizing the budget on the December 8th meeting. That meeting, then we passed the budget. The budget does have a deficit, projected deficit, and it did most of the budget amendments were approved with either a 6-1 or 7-1 vote. There was an 8-0, meaning that there was a couple of budget items that may have been passed unanimously at one point. Some of them were passed with an abstention at one point, and a couple were passed with a no vote, which that was me. So, but for the most part, the budget was approved by everyone, a majority of individuals. The other big news was that the city did hire Christopher Simpson, who is now the city administrator, who actually began his duties yesterday. So he's got a great background. He was the assistant city administrator over at Maryland Heights. Is a very positive young man. I think he's going to be a great asset for the city. Any questions?
I've got one question. It probably relates to Jim. I mean, how much is the budget going to affect you as far as what you can do for parks and things that might actually, where we might contribute and work together? I mean, did your budget get slashed in half, or particularly about parks and kind of interested in?
And I don't believe that there was a whole lot of cuts in one area. It was kind of spread out over the entire city. So it wasn't anything that would really handcuff us in the task that we have to perform.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Most of the cuts that were made, most of the cuts that were passed, let me put it that way, won't dramatically affect the way the city operates or runs. We've made cuts in areas that we deemed we could possibly, pinch pennies. Obviously, there are those of us who disagreed on possibly more, maybe what we should do for a year to kind of see what could happen. But for the most part, we try to do it with the citizens in mind of trying to maintain.
Okay, so, thank you.
No problem.
For the staff report, I gotta be honest, I don't know what that is.
That's Jen.
Okay, Jim. Is there anything to report?
I do not have a staff report for
Okay.
tonight.
Okay, then we will move on to, why don't we do old business really fast, and then we'll come back to new business. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, so we got the Yard of the Month signs, which is really great. We were able to put those onto the 2015 budget, so we have those over there, and hopefully we'll figure out where they go. Tricia, what do we do with those? Like, does somebody take them?
I don't know, I was just asked to
Okay.
deliver them.
That's fine, they'll go in my basement for now. Okay, and then if we figure out that that's wrong, then they will go somewhere else.
How many did we get?
We got, I think, 25. Yeah, we got the 25 for around the 250. I think it was maybe a little bit more than that, but not much more. So yeah, we did really well with the budget, and since we were kind of talking about that too, we were able to get everything that the planters outside that are right outside here. I just wanted to spend a minute saying thank you to Denise and Joyce and my mom Josie for putting them together, and also to Jim for and I guess Matt and Brian for making that possible. But honestly, they look great. Don't you all agree? They look spectacular. So I'm really glad we were able to do that. Do we know anything about like the banner and wreath displays that we're gonna have?
I think they're up. You mean the ones on the telephone poles?
Are
Yeah, they're up.
those banners are up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good deal. Sorry. I'm lying about that. Okay, so any questions about anything like how the budget was spent or anything like that under old business? Okay. So for new business, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty super duper energized after that presentation about how to fundraise and get some money and really be able to supply our committee with what we need. So, what do you all think about what we should be focusing on fundraising wise? What are your thoughts at the moment?
Well, I like to keep it simple concept.
Right.
Of doing the flyers, I that's way easier than trying to plan some spaghetti dinner or something that, you
Right.
know, I mean, just as a starting point, like if we need to add more down the road, I know Mary had a whole, you know, page and a half of ideas, but I can donate an hour, you know, a Saturday to walk around for 4 hours, but
Right,
planning some of those big events, like, I don't have that kind of time.
right.
You know, so,
Most people are not aware of us yet.
no,
So you're not gonna get the.
not
Right. And I do think that the Yard of the Month signs are gonna help, like it helps them. I think that that's really gonna help us, because really, if you put a sign out and say, hey, we think you're great, they're gonna be a whole lot more likely to say, well, we think you're great too. So, you know, that'll be good too. So, yeah,
Doing Yard of the Month by wards?
yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can we do businesses as well?
I believe that,
This time?
I believe that was the plan, to do a business and a home. a
So
business
down
and a
on,
home.
Sappington, I believe that is the storage place. that's-
Oh, on Big Bend?
Yes, on Big
Yeah, they
Bend.
did a good job.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I know, they definitely need something, especially with that little amount of space. They built,
They
right?
changed it, I mean, they keep
Yeah.
it.
So we could potentially get
What
that.
ward is it?
I'm sorry, that was, I was trying to write a note. The storage place on Walker?
Uh-huh, the easiest to
No,
reach.
on Big Bend.
Oh, Big Bend, that's Ward 2.
That's
Ward
us.
2.
Yeah, that's us.
Okay.
Can we
Okay.
take one down? Do we have to, we need to start, or can we just take one down?
My thought is maybe, well, we can.
And we should.
We can do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can pretend like we can do it, but we might as well.
Really?
Right.
That's good.
Right, and then, you know, even if we don't have the flyers and we don't have the 501c3 set up yet, we can, you know, still get other people kind of on board, and then when we get that, we can potentially go back and say, hey, remember when we told you you were really great? Then maybe they can, so yeah.
I think we're great.
Exactly. Help us out. Yeah. Okay, so Ellen, would you like to do that? I don't want to throw you under the
No,
bus,
I'm
but is that cool? Okay, great.
That's high visibility.
Right, that would be good. That would be good.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also maybe next meeting we should talk about how we will decide who the Yard of the Month is. Just a quick thing so we can, you know, not just randomly be putting it in people's ears. So, okay, that's good. Now, let's talk about the 501c3 really quick. Should somebody kind of get on figuring out how to do that?
Well, it sounds
I
like
thought
Mary
Mary-
and somebody else
Mary-
were supposed to be doing it.
And I was, but there wasn't a lot of, how do I say this? It was difficult.
Right.
We need somebody that knows more about the finances.
Why don't we try to set up a group of people who are really good at accounting and have them work together? Because I'm not good at accounting, but I'm good at other things. So maybe there are people on this committee who are good at accounting who can.
I'm going to volunteer my mom, because she was an accountant, was. So, you know, I'm going to volunteer.
She's been holding out on us.
Yeah, yeah. So, she did fess up. She had to keep it under wraps for a long time because a lot of people just like hop on that. So I'm going to have her do it. Would anybody else like to kind of,
I'd be happy to help.
okay, great. So how about we just have you two for right now? Is that, are you sure? You're doing a lot, but okay. So Ellen and Josie will kind of spearhead the figuring out the 501c3 for now.
So this committee can't be under the same umbrella as the cities?
We're talking about
I listened to her, how they would allow her to be.
I think we have to be a separate 501c3.
Yeah.
So,
We do.
yeah.
I would probably recommend that, you know, if you guys want to keep city involvement, maybe do it as a separate arm and just kind of you control it, but maybe it's a subcommittee or something. I would say. We have to double check
Okay.
with the city charter how it would work, how you can do
Okay.
it, but I would imagine that, and I mean, don't quote me on this, but I know the veterans committee is also, I believe, I know you all work with the board, but that's the Humane Society group is all technically a 501c3, and there's still appointments to their committee, so there has to be a way that it works. So I would try to maybe mimic with what they've done and see if that will work.
Okay,
Does that
so
make sense?
is there somebody that you would suggest who works for the city that we could maybe, if the answer is I don't know, that's fine, but I'm just thinking if there's somebody that we should
I was gonna
kind
say
of,
Helen's probably the
Helen?
best.
She
Yeah, Helen would probably be the best person to contact in that regards, to see if she's aware of how it possibly has worked in the past.
Okay.
And the beautification committee used to be around, like I said, for years and years. And I don't know if any of that's retroactive, if they ever formed.
Right.
I don't know.
I have no idea. But we'll find out, maybe Helen will know. So, okay, good deal. Okay, nice, so that's good, we're getting on that. Publicity, I think that, the signs are gonna be a good thing, the flyers, I think are gonna be spectacular, if nothing else, just for having people know that we do things. So that'll be really good too. So maybe, should we think about for the next meeting, during the next meeting, maybe figuring out who's gonna start the flyers and who's gonna, put that together and all of that? Does that sound good, or should we, you know what, how about this? How about in between now and then, somebody come up with a basic flyer?
I mean, you can actually even steal Glendale's flyer.
Yeah.
I mean, because she posted it on Facebook, so.
Okay.
And it's not that good, but,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's certainly a starting point.
okay.
I don't think we can ask for money until we have the 501(c)(3)
Right,
established.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, so maybe we should just wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait for that. Are there any other publicity things that you think we could easily do, just that come to the top of your head right now?
Again, I can do, what I did last spring, and what I'll probably do again this spring, is just do a little butterfly gardening program over at Community Center. Maybe even, I noticed, doing a seed starting thing, because I got a ton of seeds that I would love to get some kids doing something, so maybe I can talk to them and set up a date, probably in April, maybe not, but probably April. And, I'm thinking, too, it seems like the parks and recreation people, they've always had something going on. And so if at some point we could, whatever events you're having, say, oh, can we just set up a table and just have a little banner or something and have some plants, and, I can certainly help people. I like to talk to people about that kind of stuff.
Great.
I think the other thing we kind of walked away from Bratton about too is the subdivisions. This is a good time to be talking to people, about the entrances to their sidewalks. I think the thing that stood out to me most was having the little areas chip in for the pots, and then they provided the plants, and, I would commit to watering them, because I think the people that live next door to it should probably water it, but, we could commit to the plants or something, depending on how our fundraising goes, but there's a lot of really ugly subdivision entrances in Crestwood that aren't getting attention, and the people that live next to these ugly sections would very happily engage, I'm sure, but we're not, as a committee, we aren't going out. I know, Josie did, and people helped in that area, but it's not something that is consistently happening across the city. That's a really good publicity, that's easy.
And maybe we could just start off relatively small, maybe this year we could try to do, 2 subdivision entrances, which, maybe more of the more obvious ones. And that won't, it won't be easy, but it also won't be the hardest thing to do, you know? So what do you think about that? Maybe having some of our projects, whether they're the entrances or whatever, have them be a little bit more obvious this year?
It just depends to me, we've talked about doing the U-turn ramp.
Right.
We obviously got not hardly any money, not enough to do that. So for me, it's gonna depend on how our fundraising kicks off and how quickly we can get a 501c3, because if we're not, I don't know about Denise, but I don't want to be planting in October again, that sucks.
Right.
I really don't want to do that again.
Right, so not all in one day.
Right. It was not a good time. So, to me, it's I don't want to commit, it's almost like an either or, the Washington U-turn, or Watson U-turn, that's ugly as heck and really needs to be done. I don't know if we can afford it unless, I know we can't afford it unless we have massive fundraising.
There's another way to do that, though, because it doesn't have water. I talked to maybe Catherine about that. Just put in some native milkweed plants, maybe some other natives that are really tough and hardy that don't need to be watered. In fact, most of the natives don't appreciate all that extra attention, so, I mean, I can donate, I mean, I have hundreds of plants already in my basement, I'm gonna have hundreds of plants in the springtime that I give away, and I'd be more than happy to give my plants to put in that little turnaround there. It wouldn't cost you a dime, and.
Then all we need is manpower.
Yeah, and again, probably the hardest part's gonna be, the soil's gonna be, but, we just have to deal with it and do the best. A lot of the plants that I give to schools, I sort of figure, well, half of them are gonna die. So you go back the next year or two, and you put in some more plants, and so the really hardy ones, make it, and, but I mean, I have an unending supply of plants, things that do really well in Crestwood, because I grow them all the time.
Right. And I mean, so that'll cover really most of that.
Yeah.
And we can get manpower. I think that a big problem that we had with doing the plantings out here was we weren't able to figure out how, we didn't have a lot of time before the stuff needed to be planted. Like, we got them and then it needed to be planted. But, I work in the schools, I have a contact at Long who set up a club, like a service club, and I talked to her and she said, let me know what you need. I can send kids, we can have the whole club go. So I mean, and that's just at Long. I also go to Crestwood. I can maybe get some help from Crestwood. I know somebody has said that maybe they have some Boy Scout people that might be able to help. I mean, I think we can get the manpower as long as we, have a little bit of time to do it. And it sounds like since you're going to be able to donate a lot of this stuff, like we'll have time before we need to plant it. So that I'm not worried about right now. And if we can get this 501c3 going, then pretty soon we'll be, she's back on Monday. So yeah, but she's already, I was down with her last week and we were already talking about it, because that's how we spend our vacation is, right. It's actually, sadly, that's what we were doing. So yeah. Joyce, did you have something to say?
Yes, I think if we can get the flyers going,
Yeah.
we're going to find out that there's a lot of people that will volunteer.
Right.
I agree.
Right. And
So we don't have to ask for money.
Yeah. Right. And
Advertise ourselves.
And if we can really, I mean, if, like Julie was saying, if we can really just get like $5 out of a bunch of people, then we will be good to go on a lot of different stuff. So, and some of the schools do things where they will go to different restaurants and, say, well, if people go and eat at this restaurant at this date, then maybe they can get some money from that, so some of the profits from that. So, I mean, I think that we have a lot of different avenues on ways to make money and get money. So, I think that we need to continue to think about it. But really, that flyer idea, I mean, that's super cheap. It's just going to take a little bit of time to pass out the flyers, and then, it is. So, but we can do it. Maybe we can get a few volunteers. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, okay. So we have a few ideas for fundraising. For projects, we have the U-turn loop. Did anybody else, and also some of the subdivision? Please.
I noticed when you travel east on Watson Road and you enter Crestwood, there's a sign saying entering the city of Crestwood, and it's practically into the ground. My family didn't even know where Crestwood begins and ends. I think that where they have signs saying, especially on Watson Road, I don't know if it's near. It's near, yeah. Johnny Brock's and that area right there, right past there. There's that city of Crestwood sign that's practically in the ground. And that's where you should have the city of Crestwood sign up higher and then have some planters around there. I think that's more important than the nature loop, actually. I think you need to say you're entering the city of Crestwood.
And what I heard is that Lohmeyer Sculpture Park will sometimes loan out sculptures, but they're on loan indefinitely. So we can potentially also, if we can't or don't want to plant something in a certain area, we can also potentially talk to them and see if they can because I mean, we're, the Beautification Meeting, which I think so far has been a lot of plantings, but maybe we could also branch out and do some art stuff too, if it works. So maybe I'll call them.
They've been in 17, a little triangle that's got nothing but junk on it. That would be great.
Well, even Sappington and Watson Road, where those pharmacies and all.
Yeah.
that's just desolate. in
So
other
maybe we should also think about some intersections and see what we can do at intersections.
It would be nice if people realized that Sam's Club was in Crestwood.
That's true.
It's just a shame that
Right.
we get no.
Right. So, I mean, this is so far a really big list, but I think that we should make sure we're not being overwhelmed by this and also make sure that we're not saying, oh, we need to do all of this in 1 year. But, I mean, this is a great starting. Another idea that I had, which I have no idea if it'll actually be possible, is, you know, by all of the stoplights, there are those big electrical box thingies. In other areas, they will paint those different, you know, they'll have some decoration on it, they'll be painted some pretty thing. I thought maybe we could see if we could paint those in some way. Like maybe outside of the schools, we could get kids to paint them. Maybe in other areas, we could, you know, do something else. I don't know, talk to people in Crestwood, see if we could get somebody to volunteer, some artist or somebody to volunteer and do it, or not an artist and just, yeah, high schooler, that would be good. Oh, nice. Okay. So that's an idea I thought too, just if nothing else to add a little bit more color to some of the areas. So any other ideas for different projects?
Yeah, I volunteered this last year, Jim, but I'm gonna have lots of milkweed plants. And again, I like the annual milkweed because it makes a really nice display. It only lasts a year, but it grows really quickly. And so if you guys want some either around the community center or around the pool area at all. You know, if you got some areas that would need some plants, but, you know, you want something that's, it's really maintenance free, which is nice. But it also attracts a lot of fun. So, I mean, I'll be glad to donate those too.
Yeah, Catherine and I were talking earlier about that.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't know what kind of location we can put them in, but I'm interested in.
Yeah, if it's not total shade, it'll be half, you know, half and half. Would be
Yeah, I
great.
didn't know if it had to be in an open area or if it was, you know, next to.
Don't plant them underneath an oak tree, but, you know,
Okay.
most
We don't want it under a huge.
Correct.
Oh, good, that's perfect.
Yeah, let's, why don't we look at doing that around the pool?
Yeah.
Because we're always, I guess we're trying to get, we've taken the honeysuckle out as much as we can, and we'll continue to do that, but if we can have something else
Right.
that will
It's
provide
interesting.
screen and color,
Yeah, right.
that's what we would like to have.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Good.
Tom, you're great. Which is why you're terrific. You're terrific. Okay, and so because I'm looking at the time and I really think we need to wrap it up. Let's set a meeting for February. Is that okay? Yes? Okay.
He doesn't want you to send me.
No, I
No.
just need to say something after my
Okay.
automatic report whenever you're ready.
Go ahead. That would be great.
I apologize. I forgot to mention that, obviously, the TIF commission met on Wednesday, December 16th. There was a presentation. Basically, it was kind of a beginning meeting. They met to form the officers, the chairman, things like that. And then there was a presentation by Mr. Burke, who owns the mall, former mall site property, with basically kind of explaining the project as it currently is and why they're requesting tax assistance. Two important dates, though. The next meeting for the TIF commission will be January 20th here at City Hall at 7 p.m. Then there will be a public hearing February 3rd at the community center at White Cliff Park at 7 p.m. They decided to have it at the community center because they feel that because public comment will be allowed, and there will be a presentation that the capacity would be better suited to have at the community center at White Cliff. So I just needed to make sure everyone was aware of that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I was actually just asked about that myself recently, and I know that.
Question before we go. If I take that sign down there, what is the length of time? Will it be there? If this is tomorrow, be the sixth, I'll take it.
Does it say something of the month?
Yeah.
But I mean, this is already the sixth.
Oh, it was just 30 days.
So, February 6th.
Ish,
And
yeah.
I don't think we have that many that we're gonna be using.
Right, right. I mean, I think as long as it's around a month, it should be okay, you know, give or take 5-ish days. So if anybody disagrees with me, please say so. But I think that would be about, I mean, I don't think we really need to
It's more publicity.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's set a meeting for February. We're in the first week of January this month, so why don't we try to do around the first week in February? Does that sound good? How do Tuesdays work for people?